Yo guys, what is going on? And in today's video, I'm going over the ways you should manage your money in high school. Me personally, I didn't listen to all these when I was younger, so I decided to make this video. I spent way too much money and I could have been set up really well if I would have just listened to a video like this. So I thought I'd go through and share my personal experience of what you should do in high school. I just turned 20 years old in April, so I'm not too old. You know, I graduated in class of 2018, so I'm not too far behind, but I do know what I messed up on and I see that now, so I wanted to give you this information. That way you don't make the same mistakes like me, and you can be, balling by the time you're 20, 21 years old. The first one's going to be save as much as possible. I know that's kind of a given, but it's really it's a big deal that you save as much as possible. When I was in high school, I was working a minimum wage job at a restaurant, and I was working 40 hours a week. And to be honest with you, I was just spending it left and right. If I wasn't working, I would just go eat out and spend $15 on a meal just because. And I was just spending my money on stupid stuff, clothing and stuff like that. I wasn't saving any of it, and honestly, I regretted it. It made buying a car so much harder. It made, literally any obstacle that I came across, it made it so much harder. I didn't understand why I needed to save since I was just having a consistent paycheck come in and I could fix any problem with, within the next 2 weeks just with my paycheck. And I didn't save as much as I wish I would have. I mean, to be honest, I probably could have saved up 10 grand in high school just from how much I made versus, how much I realistically needed to spend. In high school, between sophomore, junior, and senior year, I believe I made between 23 to 30,000, somewhere in that range. So there's no reason I couldn't have saved 10. I bought my car, which I paid cash for, so there's that. But that really doesn't do me justice. I should have saved up a lot more. And honestly, it's a big key. Even if you don't know what you're saving for, just having a lot of money in your savings account, it can be really, securing to your head, and it helps you out a lot. The next one's going to be set a goal as to how to save, because this is something that I really struggled with until I got out of high school. And the best way to save is to sell yourself. You got to have a specific number that you want to put into your savings account each month. Whether or not you do percentage or a number itself, that's up to you. Personally, I was doing 40% of my paychecks, because 40% still gives you 60% to spend on and actually live life with, but 40% is a pretty good amount, so your savings account will stack up pretty fast. If you're making, let's say, $300 a week, it might not be a bad idea to push yourself to put in between 50 to 200 of those dollars each week, depending on your bills and your situation like that. But you don't want to put too much into savings to where you feel uncomfortable with what's in your checking account, because that's when you pull from your savings account, and that's what I did, and it was absolutely terrible. I was I'd rather have $150 in my checking account rather than 100, so let me pull 50 out of savings, and that's how much I had just transferred into savings, so it's pretty counterproductive. You just got to choose a comfortable amount and stick to it, and I promise you your savings account will build up. The first $1,000 is really hard to overcome, the first $5,000 is, and the first $10,000 is. Once you're past those three, it's really easy to make the next, after 1,000, it's easy to make the next 1,000. After 5,000, it's easier to make the second 5,000. Same with 10,000. I think that goes with for any amount of money, but these are the three biggest obstacles that you'll face in high school. And you should have a goal to save $5,000 or $10,000 by the end of your senior year if you have a job. If you're focusing on academics or sports, then that's totally it's really hard, to be honest. But if you have a job, there's no reason you shouldn't save up at least $2,500 to $5,000 by the end of high school if you really push yourself. The third one's going to be having your car paid off. I don't know if your parents are going to make you go, get a cosign, or if they're going to make the payments for you. But me personally, I paid for my car cash in high school. I had a little Dodge Durango that I drove around. It ended up lasting me a couple years, and I have a new car now. But since I had paid for that car in cash, whenever it started, getting a little sloppy, it gave me the time to say, hey, I need to start, really focusing on saving up for a car. And now that I have a paid off car, I'm 20 years old and I have a paid off Nissan Sentra. It's got 70,000 miles on it. It'll probably last me another 5 to 10 years if I take good care of it. And that's just a really good peace of mind thing. For example, I quit my job recently to do this whole YouTube thing, and I don't really have any payments. I mean, the majority of people's money my age, it goes to either rent or car payment. Luckily, I'm still living under my parents' roof, so I don't have to worry about the rent thing. But the car payment is something that I would probably have to worry about, and I don't have to since I paid it off. Also, you get really screwed on these different car payments. You get stupid interest rates, and it's just something you don't want to do. Trust me, take the advice and drive a cheaper car that you can pay off in cash rather than going to get a new Mustang or something. I know it's appealing, but when we're 35, 40 years old, you'll be able to drive Lambos and you won't even have to worry about your financial situation. And to me, that's worth so much more than just driving a Mustang right now just because other kids think it's cool. The fourth one's going to be read finance books when you're in high school. I've mentioned a couple of finance books in my previous videos. I'm not going to go over all of them again. They're down in the description, my 4 favorite, and they run you about $40 or $50 for all of them. But the reason why I put read finance books on this list is because chances are, you're still under 18 when you're in high school, so you can't just straight up start investing. And even if you did just straight up start investing, I don't think it's smart to start investing or even start investing a pretty decent amount of money into the stock market or, moving your money other places until you know how money works and the thought processes behind it. And the 4 books that are down there are really good. It's Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Investing 101, and The Millionaire Next Door. 4 amazing reads. They shouldn't take you super, super long to read, but I promise you that those books alone, if the younger you read them, the more money you'll make just from reading those books. They're really good investments, and you should take the time to read them. Next up on this list is going to be to push yourself to buy less materialistic things. This was my biggest problem in high school. I used to be really into super expensive clothes. If you know what Supreme is, or Yeezys or anything like that, you just know they're stupid prices. I mean, I was spending dumb amounts of money on this stuff. I spent $700 on a pair of shoes, and it took me 2.5 weeks to make that $700. It was just not smart at all. I thought that buying this stuff would actually make me feel better about myself, but honestly, the only thing that makes you feel better about yourself is what's down inside and the people you surround yourself with. So I stopped buying them, and I started saving a lot of money, as well as starting feeling a lot better about myself. And if I could go back, that's probably what I would tell myself, because the clothes are the single reason I didn't save any money. Because if I would save up $1,000 to $2,000, I would spend it on a shopping spree, something stupid. I was buying watches, I was buying expensive t-shirts, $150 to $400 t-shirts, $500 to $800 hoodies, stupid clothing purchases. And everyone has their, their guilty pleasure, whether or not it's you like your car, which might be a project and you're just spending a lot of money on it, buying parts for it, fixing it up. Or, there's a couple of different things. Maybe you're a girl and you're just buying makeup with every single paycheck. I mean, you really have to push yourself to not buy as much of these things. And it really helps out a lot. Me personally, I'm not going to say that I just don't spend money on anything anymore. I just really value the purchases that I make. If I'm going to buy a new video game, it better be because I'm going to play that video game a lot. I don't just like giving money out and then only getting a couple hours worth of use out of it and then being done. It depends on, there's a couple things that you should invest into when you're in high school, such as some nice clothing. I have some nice button down and some nice collared polo shirts that I wear once or twice a week to this day that I'm very glad that I bought when I did. There's certain things like an Xbox, for example. I mean, this is something that you're going to get so many hours out of, and even though it's more expensive up front, gaming consoles can provide you with a lot of really cheap entertainment if you just know how to do it properly. Stuff like that. Long story short, I just wish I didn't spend as much money on items in high school. If you watch my older videos, you'll know that I stand over that part of my room, which has the closet area, which has all my expensive shoe boxes, all my clothes behind me. And there's just no reason for all of it. I'm trying to get rid of it at the moment, trying to sell it, but that's a whole nother story. Anyways, cut on the materialistic things. I know you can do it, and it's definitely worth it. The next one's going to be open a credit card when you turn 18 years old. Now, you might have heard this before from an uncle or something, but it's really important because having a good credit score can really help you a lot in life, even if you're going to listen to Dave Ramsey's philosophy of no credit card and stuff. Honestly, until you have I would say $200,000 in the bank, it's just safer to have a good credit score, because when you're going to when you go get a mortgage, for example, if your house is $200,000 to $250,000, I mean, even if you have $100,000 to $150,000 in savings, it's hard to get to that $250,000 mark. So having a good credit score is going to get you a really good interest rate, and the lower the interest rate, the more money that you're saving, essentially. So it's really good that you get your credit score started early and actually work on it. I don't think you should go finance cars for stupid interest rates or anything like this. I'm just saying you should have a good credit score. You can just get a simple card, buy gas on it for your car each month, and then just pay it off as soon as you buy it. Do that to build your credit score. I mean, there's plenty of videos on YouTube on how to build your credit score, but this is something you should definitely focus on just because it's really important down the line. And I personally, I did open my credit card when I was 18 years old, and right now I have a higher credit score than literally any of my friends. And to be honest, it's kind of a flex, I have a 770 credit score and I'm only 20 and a half years old, so it's pretty solid and it helps out a lot. It's also a peace of mind thing. If you ever did get in a pinch, you always have this right up here. With that being said, the next one's going to be to open a Roth IRA at 18 years old. Now, I might be sounding like a broken record here because all the finance channels on YouTube tell you to open a Roth IRA as soon as you turn 18, but just hear me out. The reason why the Roth IRA is so good, which you'll probably already know, is the tax benefits of it. You put money into the account and then you pull it out for retirement at 59 and a half years old. You aren't taxed on any of it, and that's critical. I mean, taxes are something that really kills you when you're an adult, especially as you start making more money. So the Roth IRA is appealing for that reason. It might not seem like taxes are a big deal yet, but once you start making a lot of money, taxes are a pretty big deal. So this is why I put this on the list. Even if you're only doing like 10 to 20 bucks a week, I mean, that is tax-free money that's going to be invested and make you, long-term profit. So it's worth it. Even if you're not investing a lot into it, give yourself a challenge like I was saying earlier, whether or not it's $5 a week, whether or not it's 10, 15, that's all up to you. I just think that it's really smart to open one up and even contribute just a little bit to it. Even if it's $1 a week, I mean, just get in the habit of, making that recurring transfer, and it builds up over time, no matter how small it is. That's why you'll hear people say you can invest with little money, because little money over time adds up to big money. The next one's going to be, if you aren't old enough to invest your money yet, like if you're like a sophomore or a junior in high school, so you aren't 18 years old, don't worry about, investing, like getting an account made when you're younger. What you should focus on, what I think you should focus on at least, is saving up as much money as you can, parking it in a high interest savings account, such as Ally or Charles Schwab, and then just reading literally every single finance book you can get your hands on. I didn't start reading books until I was 20 years old. I only started reading about 6 to 8 months ago. But I've probably read like 25 to 30 personal finance books, and I feel so much smarter and more educated on the topic because I have. And honestly, it helps out a lot. Also, if you go into adulthood, like if you go into being the age of 18 and you have all this surplus of knowledge already, it's significant in how much it helps you, makes you make better investments, makes you be more, mindful of what you're buying and how to actually read like contracts and stuff. You're going to have some pretty big life events come up in the next couple years. Like, are you going to school or not? That's a decision you have to make. What about the next car that you buy? How are you going to buy it? Are you going to pay in cash? What's your price range? What kind of car are you going to go buy? I mean, there's so many different choices that you are going to have to make in the next couple years that can really be critical, to be honest. I mean, if I would have went when I was 18 years old and bought a brand new Mustang or a Charger or a Challenger or something, I would still have payments for the next like 3 or 4 years, and I would have to be at a job right now doing something I don't like. Instead, I decided to pay off a little Nissan Sentra, and that gave me the ability to quit my job a month ago and say, hey, I want to pursue YouTube full time. And honestly, I'm the happiest I've ever been because of it. So it's really about how much freedom you want. And it's perfectly fine if you don't want to have freedom, if you want these cool things. But me personally, I enjoy having the freedom to be like, nah, I don't feel like doing that. And since I have the ability to not have to do something that other people tell me, then I can essentially just do what I want and go about how I please. Honestly, that's going to be all of the items on the list. I did throw one more thing on my list, which is basically just make it a game. I mean, this is kind of stupid depending on like how you look at it, but my friends in high school, they always thought they were super cheap, but they definitely weren't. Like, they were spending way more money than me, but they're like, oh yeah, we care about our money, but it's like they really didn't at all. So when I was in high school, I would always make it a game. I'd be like, hey, for example, we'd go to Chick-fil-A quite a bit. I'd be like, let's see who can spend the least amount of money possible. And going to different restaurants, sometimes it would get to the point where we're buying kids meals, like 2 kids meals rather than an adult meal, because it saves us like 75 cents. And it's kind of silly, but A, it's really fun to do with your friends, and B, it saves you money. So it's a really healthy game to play, and it helps you out quite a bit because, money saved is money earned. Honestly, those are going to be like my bullet points for what you should do with your money in high school. Read some books, save your money up. Don't worry too much, don't stress too much, don't buy any brand new cars or make any long-term commitments, and you'll be set. The fact that you're watching this video alone, if you've made it this far, then you're probably a lot farther along the lines than any other people in your high school. So don't stress about it too much. You're probably doing a great job. And yeah, if you're in high school, let me know down in the comment section below, like, what your biggest question is, and I'll be glad to answer any questions. I do answer every single comment on any of my videos, so chances are if you comment, I'll get back to you within like an hour, just because I'm addicted to engaging with y'all and I really enjoy this. And if you're not in high school, let the people know down below what you did wrong in high school and maybe how we can learn from it. I'd love to get a discussion started down there. Also, I'm going to be shaving my head bald if any single video that I make gets 200 likes. So if you've made it this far, be sure to like the video, and I think that'll be interesting to see. I'm going to start announcing that at the beginning of each of my videos, but I think it'll be pretty awesome to see if we can get 200 likes on a video, and I'm willing to do something that, you know, some people have told me to do. So I really hope you enjoyed the video, and let me know video suggestion ideas down below, and have a good day.